We're all very deeply concerned by the severe cultural conflict in our communities and country. And as serious as our problems are, we're optimistic that together we can create systemic and sustainable cultural transformation. And one place where we can start to do so is in our organizations. If we create meaningful cultural transformation in our organizations beyond the positive human experience itself, it will drive much higher levels of performance, productivity, and profit. It will do so in ways that are good for people of all cultures within the organization. We have cultural cancer. Some believe that the national cancer is systemic racism. Others would say it is socioeconomic disparity driven by bias, inequality, or injustice. Within our organizations, some would say our challenges are primarily a lack of diversity, inclusion, and equity. However, as painful and problematic as these things are, none of these are the actual cancer. They are the painful symptoms of a deeper root issue. And what is that deeper root issue? Our cultural relationships are dysfunctional and diseased. We must face the reality that not only do we lack education about one another, we're challenged to properly engage with one another, have true empathy towards each other, be excited about each other, empower others different from ourselves, and much less be culturally endeared with one another. We must put away the failed notion of cultural tolerance and embrace the higher goal of cultural endearment. We can no longer afford to simply grit our teeth at one another as we go through life and work together. We must get to the root issues of our cultural dysfunction, and the root issue is that we are not culturally endeared to one another. And cultural endearment occurs through a specific process of education, engagement, empathy, excitement, and empowerment. These are the 6 stages that I map out in my book, The 6 Stages of Cultural Mastery. The reason for our cultural dysfunction is because people who are not culturally healthy and skilled simply cannot create or maintain culturally healthy and skilled relationships, no matter their race or ethnicity. And in the same way that individuals who are not culturally healthy and skilled cannot create and maintain culturally healthy and skilled relationships, leaders who are culturally unhealthy and unskilled, which, by the way, are most, according to our assessment data, cannot lead culturally healthy and skilled organizations, no matter their desire to do so. They may have the best of intentions to create a healthy culture, but they're not equipped to do so. In fact, culturally unhealthy and unskilled leaders do just the opposite. They naturally help create the cultural dysfunction in their organizations that lead to the painful symptoms. We cannot continue to put Band-Aids on systemic cultural wounds when we actually need to heal those wounds at a much deeper level, and that level is at the level of our cultural relationships. It is at the level of how we view and treat one another. This is what needs to be transformed. We need to start addressing the root issue of our cultural relationships being dysfunctional and implement an intelligent and holistic plan that will create systemic and sustainable cultural transformation in our organizations. We've mapped out a cultural transformation plan for organizations that identifies the 6 pillars of leadership in every organization. Now, granted, each organization is a bit different, but almost all organizations, whether for-profit or nonprofit, have leadership in the following 6 divisions: operations, sales, marketing, finance, human resources, and technology. Diversity and inclusion officers would be part of the human resources pillar in this model. In our cultural transformation plan for organizations, we propose to transform the cultural mindset and skill set of 18 leaders from these 6 pillars, or at least 3 from each pillar. This is a necessary first step, and we have a proven process to accomplish this transformation of cultural mindset and skill set. Mindset is how we view one another and addresses such things as bias, prejudice, and stereotypes. And skill set is how we treat each other and addresses how we connect, create, and collaborate together. Now, this process will prepare them to be in a position to lead systemic and sustainable cultural transformation in their organization. Once the leaders of the 6 pillars become culturally healthy and skilled, we propose to bring them together for a cultural transformation summit in which we follow specific action steps to begin to design the cultural transformation of the entire organization. To do this, we follow the principles that are mapped out in the Cultural Transformation Manifesto. We're convinced that we have the cure to cultural cancer and are seeking leaders who will come forward to engage with us. We believe we have the vaccine that will heal the cultural dysfunction in our organizations. We need leaders who will step up and make a commitment to be part of this transformative process. Now, this cannot be the sole responsibility of the diversity, inclusion, and equity leaders. All leaders within the organization must become culturally healthy and skilled. The transformation of cultural mindset and skill set takes place over an 8-week period of time and requires about 3 hours time commitment weekly from each leader. And we fully understand the level of commitment that this takes, but it's the only way to create systemic and sustainable cultural transformation throughout an organization. Everything else is a band-aid and superficial in nature. The cultural health and skill of your leadership group depends completely on the cultural health and skill of the individual leaders. In addition, the cultural health and skill of your entire organization depends on the cultural health and skill of your associates. The parts truly do make the whole. Will you join us in a movement that has the potential to culturally transform our organizations for the common good? Yes, it'll take some work. Yes, it'll take some commitment. And yes, it's more than worth it. If you're interested in discussing a cultural transformation plan for your organization with us, please drop us a note at transform@culturalmastery.com.